The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Kootenai County, Idaho, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34979. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start just at the front bumper location. In the front bumper face, you'll find 2 tow hooks protruding from the front bumper. Also next to those, you'll find 2 warning informations regarding direct pull. Located in the center, you'll find your unit identifier E14. As we move to the right in the image, over the driver's area, you'll find dual air horns. Moving up onto the bumper extension, on the passenger side, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. Also, there'll be 2 tubbed storage locations in this area. As we move to the right in the image, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving up onto the cab, you'll find on the outer edge a marker turn indicator. Just inside of that location on the cab face is where you'll find your headlight structure housing a low and high beam headlight. The high beam will be located on the inside. Moving up, you'll find your turn indicator and also emergency warning light. Moving up onto the seamless one-piece windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wiper blades. You'll also find on the outer edge your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow, you'll find 5 clearance lights. As we move further up onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar, and located within inside the light bar is where you'll find your Opticom directly in the center. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items that we've just talked about. First, starting with your bumper extension. Moving now to the swivel discharge. This is a foam capable discharge, 2.5. Moving just inside of that location to a tubbed storage location, dry deck material inside, 2 lift and turn latches gains access. Moving to the center, 2 lift and turn access and also dry deck material. As we move to the right, a close-up of the anchor point and also the warning information and air horns. Just a quick view here of the front section of the cab, and then also a general view of the overall apparatus. Starting on the cab of the driver's side is where we'll first begin. Starting down in the lower left corner, we'll start with a bumper extension side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up to the side, you'll find your marker light. Moving up to the door handles, you'll find gloved hands can easily access the door handles. In addition, there are 2 grab handles located at each point of entry for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we move toward the center, I'll have an exploded version of this. This is going to be your location for your plugins for shore power and also for engine heater. You'll also find an air outlet just to the right. Let's move down to the lower cab corner where you'll find an additional compartment. D handle will gain you access into this compartment. From this location, let's go ahead and move toward the pump panel area. This is the very top section. A lift and turn latch behind the diamond plate will gain access into this compartment, access from both the passenger and driver's side. As we move now toward the upper portion, you'll find the cross lays for cross lay number 1 and cross lay number 2. I'd also like to point out we do have a warning regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. As we move to the very top section of the panel, you'll find your red module foam level indicator for tank A, also a pump intake gauge, master gauge. As we move to the right, you'll find a master gauge for the pump discharge. In between the 2 of those are the vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. As we move all the way to the right in the blue module, this is your water level indicator. Let's move down on the pump panel now, where we'll start first on the left-hand side with the cross lay for number 1 and number 2. They are both foam capable. As we move to the right, you'll find your Husky Foam System 3. The very top section, green indicating the on-off switch. As we move down, you'll find a foam digital readout for the percentage. And as we move down further into the 2 gray buttons, these are for increase or decreasing that percentage. You'll also find a prime button located in the yellow.
And as we move all the way to the right, you'll find a system status LED indicator. To identify the status, look to number 4 on the operating instructions. There are also operating instructions starting 1 through 3 on the operation of the Husky 3 foam system. Also to the right, you'll find a foam manifold pressure gauge. And then up in the upper right-hand corner, we do have an additional warning regarding entanglement hazard. Moving down to the next module, this is the hail temperature relief valve. It does have a visual indicator and also an audible alarm. This operates independently and is automatic. Moving to the right, you'll find your engine cooler. It is a twist, not a pull. Let's move down to the left on the pump panel. You'll find these two placards, the Husky Foam System 3 specifications and also foam system instructions. Moving to the right, the number 1 passenger side discharge. That is a 2.5 inch. And then moving further to the right, you'll find your deluge discharge. Let's move further to the right on the pump panel. You'll find the front discharge. It is once again foam capable. And then also as we move to the right, you'll find the number 2 passenger side discharge. Moving from this location to the right, you'll find the number 1 rear discharge, once again foam capable. And as we move further to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. It is an air prime. There are instructions just beneath for 1,000 RPMs for best practices when engaging the primer. To the right, you'll find your throttle pressure governor. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find the panel lights. Just beneath that, you'll find an indicator light in green indicating OK to pump. And as we move further down, you'll find a switch for your perimeter lighting. You'll also find an indicator in green indicating it's OK to operate the throttle. And you'll also have an audible alarm. This is tied to your throttle pressure governor. To the right, you'll find a warning label regarding fall hazard. When climbing on the vehicle, make sure you face the vehicle and do not climb on while it's in motion. Let's move down from this point. We'll talk a little bit about some of the items. This is a placard here for the minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments when I have a little bit more close-up of that image. Moving further to the right, you'll find your pump drain. And then further to the right, you'll find your tank, fill, and recirculating line. Let's take a look at that placard now. This is the minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures of 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left-hand side of the placard, you'll find the associated GPM, and on the right-hand side, you'll find the associated RPM at test pressures. The job number is located in the upper left-hand corner. As we move further down on the pump panel, you'll find your large diameter passenger side discharge. It is a wheel valve also. And as we move to the right, we have a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. You'll find the number 1 2.5 inch discharge. Moving further to the right, you'll find this warning label that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they received proper training. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. Let's move down on the pump panel now, first starting with the pump drain. And as we move further down, just a few more items to identify. We have the tank fill and recirculating line. Moving further down, you'll find the manual pump shift. And then as we move to the right, you'll find your tank to pump. Down in the lower right-hand corner, this is going to be access panel. We'll talk about that in the next image. Just inside this panel is where you'll find your foam drain. You can see it's in line in the drain position. As we move down in the pump panel, you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5 inch female. And then you'll find all color-coded and labeled discharge drains within this area also. As we move to the right, we do have an additional placard. This is the Watrous placard. We'll talk about that in a moment. As we move to the right, you'll find a warning label here regarding foam failure. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. Moving further down, you'll find your draft tank foam lever and also fill location. Moving further to the right, you'll find an additional pan door. We'll talk about that. The lift and turn will give you access into this panel. Let's go back to the placard from Watrous. It's indicating the type and model that you have is a CSU. It's also a capacity of 1,500 GPM. As we look in that panel door, we'll find the yellow handle matches the instructions on your foam operations for fill and for operational positions. Let's move just under the running board here where you'll find your foam pump intake drain and foam pump discharge drain. As we move to the next compartment back, we'll identify a few items in the upper portion of the back wall. As we move here, you'll find the G1, which stands for generated power. As we also have a warning label here regarding electrocution. And as you move to the left, you'll find an additional warning here: do not connect or disconnect handheld remote controls when power is on. This is a close-up here of the G1 and what it controls. As we move further down, this is your Harrison control module. As we move into the next compartment, you'll find the blue DEF cap that's in front of the axle. You'll also find directly over the rear axle a side-facing emergency light. Moving next, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 2 SCBA bottles, and then also a silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move to the very top section, you'll find your tool board. D-handle gains access. When it's in the open position, it will lock. The release mechanism is on the hinge side. As we move down and take a look at the blue cap, this is your diesel exhaust fluid, DEF. It is an 8-gallon tank, and it's identified by its blue cap. As we move to the rear, you'll find 2 bottle storage locations for your SCBAs. And then moving just downward, you'll find the ultra low sulfur diesel fill. It is the silver cap. Let's move down from this location to the rear compartment. Directly under it is where you'll find your 2 folding wheel chocks. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll talk about the tail light structure. At the very top, you have a brake, a turn, and a reverse. Just inside of that location is where you'll find the lower rear warning emergency lights. There are 4 fold-down steps at the rear of the apparatus, 3 on the left for going aloft, 1 for gaining access to the hose bed. As we move up, you'll find passenger and driver's side rear scene lights, and as we move all the way up to the very top, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light. As we move toward the center, just above the roll-up door is where you'll find your backup camera. And as we move to the passenger side of the vehicle, you'll find the number 1 2.5-inch discharge. Let's take a look at some close-ups. Unit identifier E14. As we move to the compartment itself, right to the side of it, you'll find the rear scene light switch. As we move to the center section, directly over the rear door, you'll find 2 warning labels. First on the left, the warning label is a fall hazard. Always face the vehicle while climbing. Located in the center is your backup camera. And as we move to the right, we have a fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Let's move just to the right, and we'll find at the lower section, at the pull-out tray, is the release mechanism. It will lock into position. The release will allow you to restore it to its original position. From this location, let's move up to the 2.5-inch rear discharge. We do have a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Let's move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, rear compartment, LED lighting, and also adjustable shelving. As we move just over the rear axle, you'll find 3 SCBA bottle storage locations. Located to the rear of the axle, you'll find an access door for your hydraulic fill location for your ladder rack. As we move directly over the axle, you'll find an emergency warning light. Let's take a look inside. Is your SCBA bottle on the left, and as you can see, your equipment rack hydraulic reservoir on the right. 3 SCBA bottles in this location with retaining straps. As we move to the lower portion in front of the axle, you'll find this warning label: extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle when your vehicle is in regen mode. As we move forward to this location, additional shelving and also adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and ventilation. Let's move from this point midship, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the items starting at the very top section. First, starting with a 200-foot electrical cord reel and also a junction box. As we move to the right, same configuration. We have the crosslays and also the through compartment. This is crosslay number 2 and crosslay number 1, both foam capable. As we move downward on the pump panel, you'll find the reel rewind. That is for the electrical reel. And as we move to the right in the gray module, this is your powered equipment rack. There is some danger and also instruction information on it. Moving to the right, you'll find your cab lift. Once again, instructions on the placard and also a danger and caution information. As we move to the upper right, you'll find an entanglement warning regarding the hoses coming from aloft, the possibility of entanglement. and then also a warning here regarding pressure hazard. As we move down, you'll find the two 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. As we move down to the left, you'll find a pan door gains access behind the pump panel on the passenger side. Let's move further to the right on the pump panel, identify a few more items. This is your large diameter pump intake. And as we move to the right, your large diameter passenger side discharge. Moving down to the lower left, you'll find all your color-coded discharge drains. And then to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch passenger side female auxiliary inlet. Let's go ahead and move now to the rear section of the cab, where we'll find in that lower corner an additional compartment. And then we'll identify a few more items within the cab area. First, as we gain access into the rear, you'll find a red grab handle for getting in and out of the cab. You'll also find all of our safety and warning information affixed to the door panel. As we move inside the cab, on the roof you'll find push on and off lenses that are either red or white by activation. As we look to the compartments themselves, we'll find adjustable shelvings in the roll-up door area, and then also you'll find LED lighting. Let's move now to the officer's space. First, affixed to the door panel, once again, all of our safety and warning information. We also have keyed locks and also roll-up windows and also grab handles. As we move to the front section of the cab, you'll find the fill location on the A pillar for your windshield wipers. As we move to the center of the cab, this is a light illuminating indicating do not move your vehicle. You may have a compartment or door ajar. Also, you'll find your wireless base station for your Firecom headsets, and also two switches here, driver's alley and passenger alley. As we move to the right, you'll find your Firecom headset system. This is for your intercom. And then just behind the seat area, you'll find when plugged into shore power, this outlet will be active and also generated power. As we move to the front section, you'll find 12-volt access via 12-volt barrel style and also USB. Full compartment here, all open. Let's move through on the passenger and driver side. Then let's take a look underneath the vehicle, where you'll find your tire chains. Few more images here with the ladders in the down position, 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, and a 10-foot attic. As we move to the opposite side, you'll find your suction hose troughs. There are two located on that side. You'll also find the doors in the open position here, 3 hose dividers inside, top fill location for your water tank. As we move to the dunnage area, let's just identify a few items. This is the foam top fill for tank A. As we move to the right, this is a sight gauge for your hydraulic system for your axle easy. As we move to the very top section, you'll find your master stream device. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Harrison generator. And then moving further to the right, you'll find your 200-foot electrical reel. As we move all the way to the very far left, difficult to see in this image, this is your Husky 3 foam system reservoir. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, this is your Easy Track hydraulic reservoir. As we move further forward, you'll find the foam fill tank for tank A. Moving all the way to the very front section, this is going to be your Husky 3 foam system hydraulic reservoir and fill location. As we move to the cab, you'll find your night scan, and then also 2 placards here indicating a slippery surface. This is a non-walking surface. Let's move around now to the driver's area of the vehicle, starting first with the door panel, all of our safety and warning information. As we move to about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this placard from Pierce. It is yellow in color, indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and also fluid type. Extremely helpful for your maintenance team. Let's move now down to the floorboard, where you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal and also an air horn. Moving to the right, you'll find your brake treadle, and all the way to the far right, you'll find your accelerator. We'll talk a little bit about some of the items in the upper left-hand side. This is going to be your master battery switch, and then also ABS and regen information. We'll go over that next. And then also a shut-off for your air horn. Close-up here of the mechanical siren and air horn switches. Moving up to the master battery switch, engine, transmission, ABS, and J1939 diagnostic port, ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, an indicator for your engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switch. This is going to be your air horn shutoff about the right knee of the operator. Let's move to the dash now, where we'll start first on the left-hand side with the start switch and ignition switch. As we move to the right, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. It controls all of your emergency lights by one button. And as we move further to the right, you'll find your headlights, a switch labeled Panel, which will brighten or dim the lights within preview of the operator. As we move to the right, you'll find your OK to engage your high idle indicator and switch. And then moving to the left, you'll find your transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temp. On the right, you'll find your front and rear air, fuel level, and volts. Tachometer and speedometer in the center. Diagnostic engine information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right. First, identify at the very top of the screen, this is your monitor for your backup camera. As we move further down, this is your Easy Track system. Also moving to the right, you'll find barrel style USB 12-volt access. We'll talk a little bit about these two switch panels. We do have an exploded version of that. As we move down to the lower section, you'll find your yellow diamond, which is your pull to apply your system parking brake, and push to release. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad. It is a digital readout and also a pump shift indication. As we move further down to the left, you'll find your pump shift. Recall 2 green indicators for operation of your pump shift for exiting the cab. Moving further to the right, you'll find your mirror controls and then also your Allison transmission pad. As we move all the way to the very far right in the front, you'll find climate control for heat, air conditioning, and also defrost. Just a couple close-ups here of your backup camera monitor. Let's go ahead and move now to the Easy Track system. This is on the left-hand side. Barrel style USB, 12-volt access, generator PTO engaged, perimeter lights, and mirror heat switches. On the right, you'll find your window wiper control switch for settings. And as we move further down, you'll find on the left your road to pump instructions and also from pump to road. Remember, you'll need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump, before exiting the cab for pump operations. Let's take a look at those switches real quick and identify a few of those things. First, starting with your engine brake on and off, also a setting switch for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, future switch location, off-road traction, your tire change, which is a protected switch, and all the way to the right, you'll find your load manager. Let's go ahead and move from this location directly forward to your pull to apply your system parking brake. It's the yellow diamond. As we move to the climate control, we also have some information here regarding disengaging your retarder when on slippery surfaces. Let's look overhead of the operator. First, you'll find this yellow placard indicating 10 feet 8 inches, a length 32 feet 3 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 47,000 pounds. As we move to the right, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. As we move to the right, you'll find your opticom, clear master, siren brake in red, driver's alley lights, passenger alley lights, and rear scene lights. Let's move further to the right in the same plane. We'll identify first your Freedom HF. This is your inverter. This is the control module for it. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Pierce seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating they are belted. As we move to the very center, you'll find your do not move your apparatus when this light is on, indicating you have a compartment door open. General view here of the cab area. Overhead, you'll find the lenses, which are push on and off red or white lens, and also your air conditioning and heating system. As we move to the rear cab, you'll find the red grab handle for getting access inside the cab. Once again, affixed to the door panel, we have all of our safety and warning information. As we move to the center, you'll find 2 LED workbox lights. Moving to the rear compartments, you'll find adjustable shelving and also SCBA bottle storage locations for air packs. Moving inside the rear compartment, you'll also find shoreline outlets and inverter power outlets. Back to the very rear section of the engine, you'll find your daily checks for oil and transmission. And as we move to the very rear wall, you'll find all of your netting for storing of equipment above. Congratulations on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34979. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations.